Yugioh video for you guys, and in today's Yugioh video we're going to be doing a top 5 rogue decks of the Yu-Gi-Oh format, because well, I haven't done a rogue deck format video for a very long time, and literally it's been such a long time because well, there hasn't really been a lot of rogue decks in the game that could compete. And now that we're in a format where the best decks in the game, sure they can hand loop, sure they can do all of this, that really just says, oh, you can't play the game. Well, rogue decks are now also being able to do a lot of that. And I've been thinking, what are the best rogue decks in the game? Because, well, there are a lot of decks in this game currently, and with all the different decks and all the different strategies, what rogue decks can actually compete with the current meta. So in today's Yu-Gi-Oh video, we're basically going to be looking up these rogue decks, discussing them, talking about them, seeing what they can do, seeing what they can't do, and basically just giving my thoughts on them, just because there are a lot of rogue decks and I want to discuss them. So without further ado, guys, let's actually get into the into the top 5, because I want to talk about the top 5 rogue decks of the format. So at number 5, what do I think the 5th best rogue deck in the game is? Well, number 5, I'm personally thinking the best rogue deck is ABC. ABC has always been one of those really rogue contender decks that has been in the game, has done things here and there, and has just been able to scoop out wins out of nowhere, and it's just a really strong deck because of that. And obviously the deck isn't meta, it's not the most insane deck in the game, but I personally think right now, more than ever, this is one of the best rogue decks in the game for a couple of reasons. First, ABC Dragon Buster is just an absolutely insane card. Being able to discard any card from your hand and then just banish a card on the board is absolutely insane. Just having that access is really powerful in general. But it also has the added effect of tributing itself to just special summon A, B, or C back to the board, which is really strong in ABC. Legit, looking at ABC Dragon Buster as just the main reason for this deck is absolutely insane, because it's literally the card that makes the deck, and it is really strong. And seeing as we now have 2 again, the deck is actually playable, so it makes it a really good rogue contender. But there's other reasons too why this deck is also a really strong rogue deck, being cards like unauthorized activation, reactivation, because the card literally allows you to equip your A, B, or C from deck to any of your monsters just for free, because you can just target your A, B, or C, equip a B or a C to your A, and then you have 2 of your already required A, B, C monsters on the board. And if you've got Union Carrier with unauthorized reactivation, that literally just says, oh, I've got reactivation and I've got Union Hanger. Well, I'm going to activate Union Hanger, add an A, normal summon A, equip B, and then use unauthorized reactivation to activate C onto the monster. So you literally have all 3 monsters to go ahead into your ABC Dragon Buster. And the deck has other cards that can abuse as well, such as cards like, I don't know, Galaxy Soldier. A Galaxy Soldier has been a card that's been teched in ABC quite a lot, and there's a few reasons for that. One, it gives you access into Cyber Dragon Infinity, one of the best negating cards ever since Bosch, because the card has so many effects on it, such as, I'm a suck your attack position monster onto myself, so I can boost my attack and have an additional negate, and also, I just am a negate. I'm a negate that boosts myself. So if you can use cards like that, like Galaxy Soldier to go into that, that's a plus, but also, there are other things that Galaxy Soldier gives you access to as well in the ABC deck, such as getting your ABC pieces into the graveyard. You're able to get your A, B, or C from your hand into the graveyard to enable you to have access into your ABC Dragon Buster a lot easier, because one of the things ABC have always struggled with is getting all the ABC pieces on board turn 1, and cards like Reactivation and Galaxy Soldier literally just say, I'm going to get my ABC pieces on the board so I can guarantee to make my Buster Dragon. So you've got your Buster control on lock, along with having access into cards like Cyber Dragon Infinity. Now obviously if you do open a hand that has not enough resources to go into the Cyber Dragon Infinity, well, you have another access resource now, because Cyber Dragon Infinity is cool and all. It's a cool negate card, but you also have access into Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda to make Dragoons. So ABC can actually abuse a ton of different cards in the game, such as Cyber Dragon Infinity, itself ABC Dragon Buster, an unauthorized activation to just guarantee that you can get to your ABC pieces, and also use cards like Vertex Anaconda and Dragoon because Galaxy Soldier exists, because it's just a really good and easy way to do it. And ABC, in my personal opinion, is just one of the top 5 best rogue decks in the game because of this. Like, having access into multiple different negate monsters in the game, such as Cyber Dragon Infinity and Dragoons, is absolutely insane. But also having a card like ABC Dragon Buster that not only banishes cards, but can tribute itself to summon back 3 monsters, so you have access into more Link plays during your next turn, to go into cards like Access Code Talker a lot easier, to go ahead and pop your opponent's board, go into stuff like Boral Sword Dragon, to be able to go ahead and just OTK there. This deck, ABC, actually has a lot of resources and a lot of different ways to play the game that personally make me think it is the 5th best rogue deck. But hey, that's just my thoughts on ABC. I definitely see ABC being one of the better rogue decks in the game, and I can definitely feel it being the 5th best rogue deck, just because cards like Unauthorized Activation, Reactivation, Cyber Dragon Infinity, Dragoons, ABC Dragon Buster just being an absolutely insane card, and just having like 2-card combos such as Union Hanger and Unauthorized Activation, along with being able to play a lot of different things as well in the deck, such as traps, hand traps. Like, legit, this deck can actually fit a lot of different cards in it, and is actually getting a lot more consistent as the deck goes on. I feel like it's just a really strong contender for one of the best rogue decks in the game, and I personally give it the 5th spot for rogue decks in the current game. But yeah, that's number 5. Let's go on to number 4. So, what is the 4th best rogue deck in the game? So the 4th best rogue deck in the game is quite simple. Sky Striker. Sky Striker has always been one of those really annoying decks in the game that have just been really strong for no apparent reason. They have multiple cards that just do a lot of things, and it's just been a really strong rogue deck because of that. And the deck has so much in it, such as Ray, for instance. Ray is literally just a 1-card free Link summon into any of the Sky Striker Link monsters, just giving the deck a way to go into Link monsters to boost the consistency, because all the Link monsters do things that are useful. Like Hayate, when it attacks, it sends a Sky Striker spell, a Sky Striker card to the graveyard. Shizuku, it searches a Sky Striker card during the end phase. Kagari, it adds a Sky Striker spell or trap from the graveyard to your hand, or a Sky Striker card from the graveyard to your hand. Like, the deck has all of its Link monsters do something in the game. So it's just like, the deck has a lot of consistency in its monster area, but the deck also has a lot of control variant in everything else as well, because legit, you have cards like 3 Widow Anchor now. This card was at 2 and now it's at 3, so the deck can actually abuse that fact, because it allows you to go ahead and negate opponent's cards, such as maybe their Herald of Arclights, such as their Boral Load Savage Dragons, to then be able to steal them if you've got 3 spell or trap cards in the graveyard. Like, legit, this deck has a lot of control cards in it, such as Widow Anchor, to just be able to steal opponent's cards. Like, there's other cards that allow you to steal cards as well in Sky Striker as well, such as Shark Cannon. Like, you can literally go ahead and either banish a card from your opponent's graveyard, or you could special summon it to your board with the Shark Cannon if you've got 3 spell or trap cards in your graveyard. So, like, the deck has a lot of ways to steal opponent's cards to go ahead and up the Link ladder as well, something that Sky Strikers like to do, or the deck can control the game more by either negating effects, stealing, and banishing from grave. And it has other cards that do a lot more as well, such as stuff like Sky Striker Afterburners, which allows you to destroy opponent's monsters, Sky Striker Jamming Waves, that allows you to destroy opponent's set spell and trap cards, and you've also got cards such as Multi-Roll, that literally just says, I'm gonna reset any of my spell and traps during the end phase up to the number of Sky Striker spells and traps I've activated. So the deck has a lot of control variety in just the deck itself, which makes it a really strong rogue contender, but the deck also has recyclability, searchability, and just has a lot of consistency of this as well, because the deck even has cards like Area Zero, that allows you to send spell or trap cards on your board to excavate the top 3 cards of your deck to potentially add a Sky Striker card among them. And that's just literally all the Sky Striker cards do. They have consistency, they have searchability, they have control ability, they have negation. Like, the Sky Striker cards in general are just a really strong engine, which makes them a strong control deck. But the deck is actually able to utilize even cards outside of its own engine to be a strong control deck there as well. First of all, to boost consistency, you can play cards like Pot of Desires and Pot of Avarice to go ahead and banish some cards because you're playing multiples of a lot of your Sky Striker cards anyway, such as 3 Widow Anchor, potentially 2 Afterburners, 3 Area 0. So you don't really care what you banish off the Desires, and just gain a free 2 cards from your hand. And you can also play Pot of Avarice, as I said, to shuffle back all your Link monsters, such as Kagari, Shizuku's, back to your extra deck, to go ahead and then draw 2 cards, so then you can go ahead and go through your Link ladder of the Sky Strikers again. So you've got good consistency cards there, but you also have even better control cards that the deck can abuse, such as cards like Mystic Mine. Like, legit, this deck can literally just sit on Mystic Mine. They can activate the Mystic Mine, wait a couple of turns, either for your opponent to either deck out, or for you to get cards that will allow you to win the game and go up Link ladders, or you could literally just sit there, watch your opponent deck out, and be happy. And the thing is, even if your opponent has a way to stop the Mystic Mine, like, they could be playing cards like Solemn's Judgment as well, because Solemn Judgment is just an insane counter trap. Like, the deck literally just says, I'm activating Mystic Mine, I'm going to sit here for a while, and I'm going to watch you either deck out, I draw Solemn Judgment, and I'm going to stop you there. Or the deck can play another Floodgate as well, such as There Can Only Be One, that literally just says, I'm going to look at you. My eyes are going to look at you, and I'm going to sit here, watch you with your 1 warrior monster or your 1 dragon monster. This is obviously if you're playing Dragon Link or Infernoble Knights, or hell, even dinosaurs. You can sit there with your 1 dinosaur, and I'm going to watch you deck out. I'm going to literally set up a big Link monster or something along those lines, or I'm going to stop you from playing the game, and I'm going to watch you deck out with the Mystic Mine, or I'm going to watch you unable to play the game with the There Can Only Be One on the board. Because legit, if you have a There Can Only Be One that prevents your opponent from having different types on the board, or you have a Mystic Mine on the board that says your opponent can't activate or attack with monsters if they control no more monsters than you, what is your opponent going to do there? Like, the deck can utilize cards like Mystic Mine and There Can Only Be One to a huge extent, which just makes Sky Strikers even better of a rogue deck. So, literally, Sky Strikers are one of the best rogue decks in the game because of this. Because legit, they can just say, well, you can't play the game. I'm going to lock you out, I'm going to control the game with all my Sky Striker cards, and I'm going to be really consistent while also controlling the game. So, Sky Strikers, just a really strong rogue contender, and definitely, in my opinion, the 4th best. So at number 3. Number 3 is obviously a deck that is really strong, really cool, and in my personal opinion is just really good in general, because it's a deck that is super consistent while also being really easily able to control the game for multiple reasons. And this deck is Salamangreat, a deck that we all knew not too long ago to be a really meta competitive deck, but personally right now I feel like it's fallen more from meta into the rogue status, because this deck sure is a really strong deck, but it's not as good as it once was, because the deck has a lot of hits on the ban list, and because of that, the deck has lost a lot of its power and momentum. So I personally feel like it's gone from meta to rogue status really easily. But that doesn't make it a bad thing, because the deck is still a really strong deck. It's just in the rogue area now to me. And there's a couple of reasons why this deck is a really strong rogue contender. First of all being, the deck is super consistent. This deck plays so many draw cards and so many search cards that's absolutely insane. Like, you play Free-Sided Mining, Salamangreat Circle, Free Foxy, Pot of Desires, Buff Buffalo, Lady Debug. All these cards that say either search, draw, or anything along those lines just boost the consistency of the deck a lot, being able to get you to your main key card, Salamangreat Gazelle, to go ahead and go into all your other combos. But the deck also has other stuff outside of its consistency, such as ways to control the game with cards like, well, every hand trap in existence. This deck can run so many hand traps, you could fit it on top of like one, in like, not even one card, you could fit it on top of like 2 cards. Like, legit, you know that meme with the salesman? Well, this Salamangreat deck, this card can hold more hand traps than any card deck in the game, because legit, this deck can play up to 15 hand traps at most at times. Like, you could be playing free Nibiru, free Gamma, free Ash Blossom, free Effect Veiler, free Infinite Impermanence, all in one deck if you wanted to play Salamangreat, because this deck just has a lot of space to work with. Like, legit, you're playing so many consistency cards that just are 1-card combos the majority of the time, but it's also a deck that plays a lot of ways to control the game through card slots like hand traps that I just stated. So it's like, oh, you can fit all these hand traps in it. That's absolutely insane. So that's one thing that helps you control the game, but the deck also plays consistency trap cards. And I say consistent trap cards for a couple of reasons. One, They're consistent for the fact that you can send them to the graveyard with Gazelle and then add them back with Sunlight Wolf. So Sunlight Wolf legit says you get to add one of these cards from your graveyard back to your hand. So if you want a Rage specifically to be able to destroy multiple cards on the board, you can get a Rage. Or if you want a permanent negate, you can always go ahead and send a Roar to the graveyard to go ahead and add back the Roar. And also, Roar itself is a really strong trap card as well outside of its negation effect, because if you co-link into something, or if you link into something, I mean, with its card, with a Solomon Great that has the same name, you get to reset it to the board, so you have that way of actually going into more cards in Solomon Great that say, I'm allowed to control the game a lot easier. So not only do you have on top of it all the different hand traps, but you also have very easy to get to trap cards in Salamangreat because you're able to go ahead and search them from the deck with Gazelle that you'll get through your consistency cards like Lady Debug, Signet Mining, Salamangreat Circle. You get where I'm going with this. And it's just, the deck has a lot of free summon ability as well, so it also has a lot of combo strategy. Like turn 1, it's pretty much the same combo where you normal summon Lady Debug, search Gazelle, go into Baylinks, and potentially discard a Spinny or link Baylinks into Baylinks to go ahead and go in that. But because a Gazelle is just a free summon from hand, you are able to go ahead and link off, and there's just a lot of free summons in the deck as well, such as Jaguar, Falco, Spinny as a free summon, Gazelle as a free summon. Sunlight Wolf actually adds back your monsters as well to kind of guarantee you have your recyclability there as well. Like, the deck has a lot. The deck has a lot in it and really does just make it a really strong rogue contender, and it can really beat any deck in the format just from hand traps alone, then going into its full combos at times, where it can literally just go ahead and summon multiple monsters and even OTK really easily thanks to Access Code Talker and Update Jammer, because legit, just make a Salamangreat Wolf, Sunlight Wolf, and then go ahead and summon an Update Jammer. Well, those two equal Access Code Talker, and that's a 4-3 beat stick that can destroy every card on the board, and then literally just attack twice because Update Jammer said this card can attack twice. That's actually really strong and really insane in my opinion, and really just makes Salamangreat a really strong rogue contender deck. So yeah, Salamangreat, third best rogue deck without a doubt. So at number 2, what is number 2? Well, number 2 of the rogue decks is, in my opinion, Goki. Now, you're probably thinking, what are you saying? How is Goki a really strong rogue deck? Well, hear me out. First of all, Goki has always been a really strong combo-heavy warrior deck. It's always been a combo warrior deck that has been able to make some really insane boards in the past. And that really hasn't changed now. The deck is still able to make those really insane boards, and I feel like that is one reason to why it is actually really strong rogue contender still. But there's a few more reasons to why the deck has actually kind of boosted in a bit to me and has become a lot better for a warrior combo deck in today's Yu-Gi-Oh meta. And that is because the deck actually has a lot more cards to work with now. First of all, it's gotten more Gokis that allow it to add stuff from deck to hand when sent to graveyard, but it's also got other cards such as warrior aspects that it can actually use and abuse, such as the Codebreaker engine, which just gives the deck a lot more special summons, because like the Link 2 special summons Codebreaker 0 Day, and then the Link 3 special summons Codebreaker 0 Day from the graveyard and from the deck. So that's one thing that it does, but the deck also has access to a lot of other stuff, such as the Dark Warrior engine, being able to abuse stuff like Armageddon Knight to send Phantom Knights to the graveyard, to then abuse the card Rusty Bardage, the card that literally says I get to send a Phantom Knight to the graveyard to then get a Phantom Knight spell or trap card on the board. What is that trap card? Well, Fogblade. And it's just like literally Goki being able to abuse stuff like which they used to be able to abuse anyway, the Phantom Knights of Rusty Bardage to go into Dark Warrior combo, and also being able to abuse new cards like the 0 Day, the Codebreaker stuff, just makes Goki even better. And the deck is actually able to end on really strong boards still, such as Appaloosa, Rusty Bardage with a 2 Fogblades set, along with like other cards as well, that is just like Abyss Dweller, rank 4 engine stuff. Like, the deck is able to end on a lot of stuff, and it even can abuse cards like Dragoon as well a lot easier than a lot of other combo decks, because legit, this deck, all it needs to make a Dragoon is just summon 2 monsters and then 2 Goki monsters, send one to graveyard to make a Predaplant Verti Anaconda. And that's easy because like the deck has so many warrior extenders in the deck, such as Junk Forward, for instance. Literally, Junk Forward plus another monster, full warrior combo along with Dragoon. Another way to do it is literally just Goki Suplex plus another Goki, send him to Graveyard. That's Predator Plant Body Anaconda, so that goes into Dragoon. And also full Warrior combo because you have the Goki Revive spell that literally just says, I'm going to target 2 Gokis in the Graveyard and summon them back. So, like, you not only have access into this stuff, but you also have access into even more, which is really insane. And, like, having, like, Warriors always just being a really strong engine in the deck, being able to abuse cards like a Soul Day to summon more from the deck, being able to abuse cards like Fireflint Lady now, a new card that was released in Chaos Armageddon for Warriors, is just really insane, and Gokis have just become even stronger because of that, because they have access into so many different warrior strategies, and it's just a really consistent warrior strategy deck. Now, obviously this deck does have its lose-outs as well. It loses very heavy to cards like Droll and Lockbird, because then you can't search with your Goki cards, but even though it has that potential loss rate, I would say this deck is one of the better control decks in the game, / combo decks in the game, because just being able to end on a board, as I said, such as Appaloosa, Dragoon, 2 Fog Blades, with potentially a rank 4 that could be an Abyss Dweller, or a Tornado Dragon, or anything along those lines, is, in my opinion, personally really insane, and I feel like Goki Warrior is just a really strong deck, and just being able to abuse all these different cards in the deck, it just makes Goki a really strong contender for one of the best rogue decks in the game. So I personally give it the second best rogue deck spot in this video, and let's actually go on to the first one now, because the first one, in my personal opinion, is the best rogue deck in the current format. So what is the first best rogue deck in the game? What is number 1? Well, number 1, in my personal opinion, is Altergeist, and there's a couple of reasons for this. First reason is there are 3 different builds of Altergeist that are really strong in the game. First build, the standard build that I personally feel like should be played by everyone, is the Trap Tricks build. The build that literally just says, I'm going to rely more on Multi-Faker, and I'm going to rely more on multiple different traps to be able to control the game in my fashion, using cards like Paleozoic Dino-Miscus, being able to use cards like Heavy Storm Dust to destroy back row, Torrential Tribute to be able to destroy whiteboards and then just make your opponent in their turn, Compulse to be able to just get rid of really important monsters, and just really control the game through trap cards in general, and also Multi-Faker because it allows you to go ahead and summon your monsters from the deck to go ahead and either control the game or go into more extended pieces, such as either summoning Silcatus to go ahead and compulse cards, or Metaseek to go ahead and search cards. Like, that's the first build of the deck that is just really strong. The second build of the deck, though, that is also really strong is the Mystic Mine variant of the deck. The Mystic Mine variant of Altergeist is a really strong variant that pretty much relies on Mystic Mine and just beating down your opponent very slow. All you have to do for this variant of the deck is set up a Mystic Mine on board using either Desert of the Lands, Metaverse, any of these cards that say activate a field spell from your deck, and then after you've got that on board, all you need to do is draw more Altergeist spoofing, well, personal spoofing, to be able to then get to Metaseek, and then every turn, you just normal Metaseek, attack, maybe get rid of a card your opponent controls, and after you've attacked, use the spoofing to shuffle away the Metaseek, and then add it back to your hand. That way, you never control a monster on your board for the end phase, and you also have always got a way to deal damage to your opponent. The Mystic Mine variant is really strong and is just a great control variant in the game, and is one of the reasons why Altergeist is one of the best rogue decks outside of the Trap Trick variant. And then the final variant, though, of Altergeist that makes Altergeist the best rogue deck in the game is the Numeron variant. The variant that literally says, I'm going to activate Numeron Network, and after I've activated Numeron Network, what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to summon S0, Utopic Future, and say, on your turn, detach material, you now can't play the game. Oh, I have all these trap cards. Well, I'm going to flip a trap card, and then I'm going to summon Multi-Faker from the hand, and then just go from there and have all these insane cards. Like, honestly, all 3 of these variants are all really strong in the format, and personally makes me think they are the best rogue decks in the game. Like, Altergeist just having so many different variants to play the game, having so many different trap cards that allow you to control the game, just makes me feel like it is one of the best rogue decks in the game. And I know I still have feelings for this deck being meta in general, but the thing is, right now, this is not a meta deck for a lot of reasons. One, all the meta decks just outpace it a lot of the times, because like, honestly, relying on loads of traps isn't always the best. But if you open Imp or Multi-Faker, well, that doesn't matter. But A lot of the other decks in the meta right now are just a lot stronger. Like, the only trap meta deck right now is Elder Lich because it's just got a lot of resource gain and resource management. But Mortgeist are just a really strong rogue deck though, and I personally feel it is a deck that can still compete with these decks if you win the die roll, if you can, you know, stop your opponent from doing these with things with like your hand traps and stuff like that. I personally feel like it is one of the best rogue decks in the game. But guys, that's just my list though. Like, all of these decks are really strong. I personally feel they all have their own unique characteristics. I personally feel they're all really good in their own right. Like, ABC is just a really cool combo deck that just controls the game for its own right, and it just uses ABC Dragon Buster to banish cards and can use stuff like Dragoon and also Sub-Dragon Infinity. You've got Sky Strikers that can just control the game through all of their different cards to control the game, and also use various floodgates to stop your opponent from playing. Solomon Great, just a super consistent deck that can make Link monsters OTK and also have trap cards that help control the game as well. Goki, just a massive combo strategy that can just do a lot using stuff with like Rusty Bardage and everything else along those lines. And then Autogeist that just has three really strong variants. Personally, I think the Trapshoots variant is the best variant, but other people will disagree with me, that can just do a lot in the game. But guys, that's just my thoughts and opinions on this video though. Tell me what your thoughts are in the comment section below. I'd love to hear them. Maybe you would say my list is in the wrong order. Maybe you would say there's a deck that should be in here or deserves to be in here a lot more. I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on that in the comment section below. But guys, that's the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Signing out. I love rogue decks, and it's been a while since I've done this, guys. So, later all.